Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, I'm going to be building something really different. Back in July, I had a birthday and my kids got me this really cool flying rocket model set. So for those of you who don't know, Estes Rockets is an American company that's been around since 1958. And even though these aren't your typical plastic model kits, they do have some plastic pieces usually, but they're also made out of cardboard, balsa wood, and pressed paper to make them light. And the reason for that is because these rockets actually fly. Some of these rockets will actually fly up to an altitude of about 1,150 feet, depending on the engines you get. And the engines are these right here. So these are an A8-3 single-stage engine, specifically designed for model rockets. So these are solid fuel engines, and the way they work is they have an igniter that goes in the bottom. You ignite the engine with an electrical charge, like from a battery. The engine fires and the rocket takes off up into the air. And then when the fuel burns out at the end, it puts out a kind of a backflow of pressure, and that knocks the top off the rocket, which is attached to the lower end of the rocket, which is also attached to a parachute, and your model rocket comes floating safely back down to Earth to fly again. Hopefully. All right. This is one of their starter sets. So it comes with 2 rockets, it comes with the launch pad, it also comes with the control module. Now you can buy these rockets individually, and they come in many different forms and sizes and models, and they also come in different levels. So this is a beginner to intermediate level, and then you have advanced, expert, and master level. So these things are pretty cool, I think. So if you've never tried one of these, I suggest you go to your hobby store and check them out. All right, so let's get this box open and we'll see what's inside. Okay, first up we have our launch pad. So this is going to be this part here. So you've got a 3-legged launch pad with a metal plate, and then it also comes with this very long rod that will stick up here that acts as a guide to get the missile or the rocket off to a good start. I'm not going to open these up because there's a lot of tiny little things in here that we'll need, so we don't want to risk losing any of that. As I stated before, here are our engines, and you buy these separately. Okay, here we have, looks like some instructions. And this kit does come with 2 rockets. Okay, so here's our instructions for the Crossfire rocket. So it's basically just a few parts. You've got a body, an engine mount, a cone, and a couple smaller parts, and then your launching lug, which will ride on this rail off of the launch pad. And you've got some decals, balsa wood wings, some metal parts, straps, and a parachute. So these are pretty basic instructions. We'll go over the assembly as I build it. Okay. And here we have, this looks like, okay, these are the instructions for our launch controller. So we're going to put some batteries in this, and this is what's going to supply the charge to the igniter for the motors. Okay, here we have our part of our decals for this tall rocket. Okay, this is these are the directions for the Amazon rocket, and this has even fewer pieces, looks like. Oh, maybe not. There's quite a few pieces there. Overall, pretty straightforward though, should be easy enough. And then it goes over how you set it up on the launch pad. And oh, here we have our portable launch pad, or PortaPad 2. So this will go over how to assemble and set up the PortaPad 2 launching pad, and then how to use it. Awesome. And what's left in here, here's our decals for the other rocket. Now these are just peel and stick decals. They're not like your typical water slide decals you'd get in another model kit. And this is just a full 1-year warranty in several languages. All right. let's put these aside and move on. Okay, here we have the first model rocket. This is the Amazon one, the taller one. Here we have our parachute. We have our these are plastic wings. A lot of times these will be made out of wood. Here our engine module, so we'll put this together and this is where the engine will snap into. Here we have our cone. And we have our body. So this is going to be a pretty tall rocket. That's cool. And then we have our elastic strap. It's basically a really soft rubber band. And this will attach to the cone and the rocket body. And then this will allow the cone to come. When the cone is blown out of the body, this strap will connect this to this, and the parachute will come out and it'll all float down as one unit. Alright, hold on a second, let me clean this up and I'll get the last rocket out. Alright, and here we have our last rocket, our second rocket. Now, this is balsa wood, and it looks like it's laser etched, laser cut. So we'll pop these pieces out of the balsa wood and then we can paint them and glue them to the rocket. Here is the body of the rocket. Very, very thin, like cardboard kind of material. Here we have our nose cone assembly, very similar to the other one, just a little smaller diameter. Alright, next we have this is the part of the rocket that actually holds the motor in place, and a couple of rings, and also an elastic strap to connect the cone with the rest of the rocket. And our parachute, and it's a much smaller parachute. Alright, so this should be two pretty quick and easy builds. I will probably do some painting. I'm not going to go crazy with it. Everything's kind of cool as it is, but like this one's just white. I might spray paint this a different color. Who knows? And then we'll get these built up and we will fly them, hopefully. So before I get to the build, I just want to say thank you to all of my current subscribers. You guys are great. I love your comments and thank you so much for your support of the channel. If you're new here, please take a moment and click that subscribe button down below. It really helps out the channel and I would really appreciate it. If you could also click the little bell icon down below, it'll let you know when I upload new content. Also, please be sure to check out my affiliate links down in the description below. And don't forget to check out my online store where you can pick up some stickers, t-shirts, mugs, hats, all kinds of cool merchandise, all scale model themed, all designed by me, a scale modeler. Alright gang, so let's clean off the bench, grab some tools, and get to the build. For the first part of the build, I'm assembling the lower section of the rocket. This will hold the fins for the rocket and also the engine. I'm using Tamiya extra thin for these parts. I'm using some Tester's canopy glue to attach the lower end of the rocket to the first tube. For this part, we need to cut this section out of the instructions. We'll use this to attach the tether to the body of the rocket, which will also attach to the nose cone of the rocket. attach this tether inside the tube. It needs to be about 1.5 inches deep. And that's it for this rocket. This one was pretty straightforward and easy to assemble. Now, on to rocket number 2. This rocket's a little more higher on the difficulty meter, but that's okay. The rocket fins for this one are made out of balsa wood, so we'll have to carefully cut them out using a very sharp hobby knife. Next, we're going to move on to building the engine housing. Pay close attention to the instructions. You're going to have to make some reference marks on this tube and then cut a slot for the engine retainer. For this piece, you'll have to cut and separate the two halves. The bottom half is for the engine module, and the top half is the cone for the rocket. You'll need to cut this section of the instructions out, just like we did on the first rocket. On this rocket, the parachute gets attached directly to the nose cone. that'll complete our second rocket. And here we have them, friends, the completed rockets by Estes. Alright, so the first one went together no problem, this big Amazon one. The rear section here is all pretty much just plastic, so that goes together pretty much like any normal model kit. The section that holds the two halves together is also plastic. And I couldn't find my wood glue, so I just used some canopy glue, and that worked really well. It's got a really tight bond and came out good. All right, so when we load our engine, they'll go back in here under this cap, like so. And then that one will be ready to fly. I've already put the parachute and packed it inside the tube here. So when the rocket flies and the engine runs out, it'll put back pressure up through this tube and blow the top off and the parachute out, and it'll fall back down to earth. Now I did add some tape to the cone here because it really is a loose fit into this upper part of the cone, which is fine, but you don't want it so loose that it falls out. So I just wanted a little bit of resistance on there. Alright, the Crossfire was a little more of a challenging build. You had to do some measurements, you had to build the actual engine housing here where the engine will go in, and then it comes, kind of plain Jane, but I painted it. I had some leftover of this Tamiya red that I used on another build, so I used up that on the cone, and then I had some chrome, well, not really chrome, metallic silver paint that I had picked up that worked well for it, and then I just put a nice clear coat over everything. The decals went on pretty easily. These back ones on the wings here, they don't really want to stick too well, but they stick pretty well. And also, they didn't give you enough stickers to do all of the fins, so I just did it as it was pictured on the box. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it entertaining and educational. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Be sure to check out the links in the description below and check out my online shop where you can pick up some cool scale model merchandise, all designed by me, the scale modeler. So hopefully, if things went well, at the end of this video, you'll see some flight footage of us actually flying these rockets. So until next time, friends, be safe out there and go build something.